Hello everyone. I wanted to make a short sermon video. I'm still in the Proverbs. I'm in the Proverbs series. I'm now at chapter 19 and in the King James Version of the Bible, and I want to continue on. It says, "Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good. He that hasteth with his feet sinneth." So, it's like when I've run late before and to work or somewhere, and I just gunned it and went on through some yellow lights and whatever, and nothing happened. But then what if, the policeman's waiting on you? You would have wished you went and just took your time, because there are penalties for things. When we race through life, like we race to wherever we're going and go through the yellow lights and all of that, we may not get caught that time, but we will get caught. And that's the way it is in our spiritual life. God, if you're going down a place and it says a certain speed limit, and you got your car on cruise control, you see the policeman, you're not worried, because you're not disobeying the law. So it's the same way with this. If you obey God's word, when the man gets up to preach it, you shouldn't be offended, or you shouldn't mind at all. You should be happy to hear it. We're racing through life. I hope that we could slow down. I want the Lord to slow me down. Let me enjoy life a little bit more. Let me pay attention to His presence in the world. When I run along blindly, I neither see that good that's there, nor the bad that gets in my path. So, verse 4, I'm going to skip to verse 4, says, "Wealth maketh many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor." When you got money, people seem like they have time for you. I'm not the world for the most part. They just don't have time for you anymore. Money can change things. It can make us act different if we're not careful. And usually the interests of the wealthy are not the interest of the poor. All I have comes from God, and I should commit it to Him. Let me use it, Lord, the way You want it to. It belongs to You, and it belongs to You anyway. Verse 6 and 7 says, "Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend to him that giveth gifts. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursueth them with words, but are wanting, yet are wanting to him." Are you impressed with somebody that dresses up in a three-piece suit? And do you look down on the poor? I pray that the Lord will keep me from being blinded by all of that, and see the person and not their possessions. I want to be impressed by the light of Christ that I see in the person. My dad taught me a valuable lesson. He didn't want me to make fun of anybody or look down on anybody if they didn't have some. And I've told you this before, but when I was in high school, there'd be the football players, the cheerleaders, and yada yada, different, and they sit kind of in classes, and there'd be poor people that nobody sit with, and I kind of gravitated towards that side. Verse 11 says, "The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it's his glory to pass over a transgression." We trust people until they give us a reason not to. We ought to do it that way, but it seems like we distrust them until at first. And someone said to me, I don't know if I can ever trust anybody again. I said, no, I'm not going to approach life that way. Are you going to do me wrong? Are you going to do me wrong? I think that in Psalms it said something like that every man was a liar or something like that. I can't go up to people and say, what are you going to do to me today? I try to trust them until they prove to me that they may need to be scrutinized, I guess is the word. And there's no judgment coming from me. That'll be there at the judgment. The judgment is from the Lord. And after all, he told us to forgive others as he's forgiven us. And if we do that, we'll do just right. Forgiving others, is that when they do you bad or when they didn't mean to hurt you, or do we forgive at the same pace that we want God to forgive us? It's a lot to think about. Verse 12, the king's wrath is as the roaring lion, but his favor is dew upon the grass. When we do something wrong, we live in fear. I did with my parents, with my dad, that if I did something wrong, it was going to catch up with me, and he was going to dish out his punishment, which was severe. So, usually you have a warning, a growl of a lion or something. But with us, a Christian, a child of God, it's that guilt that comes before the judgment comes. If we'll turn when we feel the first little twinge of that, we'll be okay. We can't hide anything. It's from God. It's just it just won't work. A foolish son is the calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. I know when my children were growing up, they were good kids, but it seemed like that when you started this church, sometimes it seemed to me anyway that they just started acting like crazy kids. Good kids acting, like that. But I have a theory that if you can train a puppy, you can train a child. You can take one stick, you can break it real easily, but you take a bunch of sticks, it's hard. If you'll take your children when they're young and you can break their habits, breaking it, you'll do good. But if you just let them accumulate, they get so many, and you haven't corrected them in so long, it's like breaking a bunch of sticks. I want the Lord to guide my feet, my steps, that other people can see him in my life and the difference that he's made in my life. Verse 16 says, he that keepeth the commandment keepeth his own soul, but he that despises his ways shall die. Cars racing on a race at races on TV, speedways and whatnot. Just one little wrong move could be fatal. You got to pay attention. We run through life like that. I mean, just wide open, and we don't really pay attention. And we don't look at God's commandments as a matter of life or death like it is, and it is. Sin is a matter of life and death. That's what it'll take to get you to the wrong place. I want to watch my path with God, because one little misstep, one little looking off too long could do it. Verse 17, he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth to the Lord, and that which he hath given will be paid to him again. What way we ought to look at it when somebody asks us for something, when we can. is to think that it came from the Lord. Except for the Lord gave it to me, I wouldn't have it anyway. That is one of the best blessings that you will ever get in your life, is when you give to somebody else. When the Lord tells you to. I mean, it's a wonderful blessing. Verse 21 says, there are many devices in the heart, in the man's heart, nevertheless the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. You know, what if Moses had refused to face Pharaoh? Or what if Abraham had refused God's commandment to slay Isaac? Or if Christ had followed his will in the garden instead of thy will be done? It's the same with us. If we refuse to do something, God get another Moses. When God asks us to do something, God will work in spite of us. He said if we didn't praise the Lord, that the rocks will cry out. You know, I think about that with my videos. Maybe some people think that it's not necessary, but I do believe that I believe He asked me to do them, God. And if I hadn't, someone would have done them sometimes, somewhere along the way. They've done a few, but I mean a series like I've done. But anyway, I want to obey each and every time because I don't want Him to pass me up. Verse 23 says, the desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. And we can't have anything in our life that's more important than God. He said, have no other gods for Him. You know, you see and hear people that you know, they really love the Lord, and then they get to making money or getting promotions or whatever, and they devote themselves more and more time and put God on the back burner. It's like being at the ocean. You go to the edge of the ocean, and especially little children, if they're not careful, they'll be swept out. And that's the way the world is. If you keep getting too close, it'll sweep you out. The last verse 27 says, cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causes to err from the words of knowledge. The ways of the Lord is the only true way. And we just kid ourselves and deceive ourselves when we think that there's something different or more. It's the highest thing that we could do. And I've enjoyed getting this to you today. I did it because I love you. And as I say in the videos, I didn't do this to replace your minister or replace you getting to church. I did it to try to supplement. Because in the days of coronavirus, you know, you might not, or you may be in a nursing home or rehab or flat on your back. And I wanted to get this to you. So my number is 256-508-4410. If you need me, call me. Just leave me a message so that I'll know who to call back and what you need. So I love you, and may God bless you until the next time that we get to do this.